Hi, Neil McDougall. I wanted to share a few words with you on the point today on systems dynamics applied to social networking. Two fascinating topics that I think have a great degree of potential if brought together effectively. So systems dynamics has been around for more than 50 years. A few pioneers back at GE in the 50s developed the frame of thinking that most problems are systems related that we experience, and even though our tools and analysis tends to be quite linear. So they were applying the thinking to human capital problems at GE, but the thinking has developed a complete school of thought, MIT, Sloan, and others over the years, and now with software, the power of software, it's actually getting quite accessible to be able to test systems theory using fairly simple models that can bring great insights. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Social network is defined by Wikipedia as an online service or platform that focuses on building or reflecting social networks or social relations, people with shared interest. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the space. I am comfortable and familiar with the most prevalent ones. So social networks have been born, I guess I would say, really gotten prevalent in the last 5 years. But to me anyway, the business potential is really only just arising in the last couple of years. Twitter and LinkedIn, Skype come to mind, and so people started really sharing photos and that kind of thing, but now there's really business networking happening amongst and interacting amongst these networks. So the potential commercially is now there, and you'll see obviously most of the big businesses and even political parties and so on are leveraging the space and the access to the eyeballs. Just locally here in Dubai, your utility, DEWA, they've got their own Twitter account, for example. So they've definitely social networking has arrived as a cheap and accessible means to interact with your customer base. And so, from my perspective as a small business owner, I've started to think about, well, definitely a lot of value and efficiency there, but I have no idea. I mean, we've got our business out there, but I don't really know how it's going to evolve, and I don't pretend to know today, even with my model. But why not get my mental model down on paper and then evolve it as I go using this powerful systems dynamic software? I'll leave a couple references at the end of the talk. So I understand, at least given my assumptions and mental model, where are the key levers that could really affect the payback, if you will. Having said that, I don't want to be too commercial about it. I mean, there's a whole fun element of connecting with like-minded people, sharing shared interests. It's really all about connecting, and business comes second, but the potential for business is definitely there. Ultimately, what we want to get to is, as we're collecting our site traffic data, improve the model week over week, at least on a monthly basis, collect data and look at the patterns and be able to improve our assumptions on our model and get more and more predictive over time. In a 6-month period, I expect to be able to have a model that's actually quite resilient, maybe not predictive, but definitely in terms of the sensitivities and where the value is to spend time and energy and money, should start to present itself. So the idea is to get a more predictive model, more accurate model, but to be able to set meaningful targets for performance and expectations for performance, and then ultimately start thinking about where we should be investing our rare resources of time and money. So when we start to understand the sensitivities of our model, it's going to start to direct us on where we should be spending our rare time and money. Then ultimately, once the model's getting pretty solid, it should feed into a bigger model for the business. So this is just one aspect of prospecting, really. But you can apply the thinking and the software to every aspect of the business and build a model of really sub-models, if you will. In the language of this software, it's modules. Tie the modules together so you could actually, over a year period, build a fairly sophisticated model of your business using this example as the feed of one feed of interactivity with your social networks, essentially. So here's a couple of resources. I'll jump to the model here, so we'll come back to this in a second. But it's actually been really fun building this, and I believe quite powerful. So I won't try and explain. I'll explain it using a storyboard that comes with the software. So the thinking is basically there's a few drivers. I'm actually assuming that we're not going to pay for any advertising, we're not going to pay for any promotion, we're just going to use what's available for free for the moment. So what's available is really, news and posts, articles, etc. on our website, face-to-face networking events, and that's really it. And then optimizing the site for search engine optimization and efficiency. So it starts really, the easiest lever is posts. I haven't really attempted to try and model the quality of the posts or the demand of the posts. I just assume that a certain volume of posts is going to be an input here. So the more posts, the more activity, the more you're going to show up in search results. The more people are going to be searching on that topic, presumably. That's a bit of a leap, but bear with me. The more posts, the more search results, the more searching, the more mentions you're going to get on Twitter, which is going to attract followers to your Twitter site. The more posts, the more traffic you're drawing to your site, and likely the more fans you're going to get on your Facebook business site, Facebook business community. And so this is really the sub-process of the ripple effect that's there, the potential that's there. It's really taking the activity on your site, news and posts, building activity for retweets and that kind of thing on Twitter, attracting new followers, building new traffic to your site through search results and through Twitter, which is drawing them then to your Facebook community. Probably the most what would you say, direct relationship between business and social networks is likely going to be LinkedIn at the moment anyway. I mean, you can create a lot of activity and you can engender a lot of connections and community with Twitter and Facebook, but really when you're starting to get closer to a true referral, a true business contact that you actually could pick up the phone and go meet and discuss getting together, the assumption here is that that's likely going to come either directly from your site or through LinkedIn. So more and more activity through these other social networks, more posts, increase in exposure. People start to check out your LinkedIn profile either through your website or from Twitter or from Facebook, and you start to build your active network there and start to be able to prospect through that. Don't get caught up with the complexity here. I'll show you the whole picture in a second. So basically the assumption here is that the most direct relationship, the most prospects are going to eventually migrate towards, true prospects for your business, are going to migrate towards LinkedIn, either through face-to-face networking or through just web connectivity. You will build your network and prospect probably through LinkedIn electronically, a few communications there, and then transfer that to a face-to-face. So there's two different ways. You've got face-to-face networking, you build a connection on LinkedIn, you see who they're connected to, you can connect to other contacts that way, or you actually, somehow they come to your web on LinkedIn and you connect that way, either you search them or they search you, and so you're building these LinkedIn connections and then you're able to take that to real life and have a face-to-face discussion. From a business perspective, what you're really after is is transferring these new leads that are coming from LinkedIn to new prospects. I think the assumption is 25% of new leads turn into new prospects, 25% of new prospects actually turns to new business, which is new clients. Building this reservoir of active clients. Reservoir is a term from the Systems Dynamics software. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully I built it up in a way that makes some sense. You can see the interactivity here. Obviously huge leaps of assumptions, and there's all kinds of interconnections that aren't there in terms of feedback loops from you could maybe get a connection on LinkedIn that actually goes to Twitter and vice versa, but this is trying to make it as simple and direct as possible for the first go here. So let's get to the numbers. This software comes with this front page interface, the storyboard that we just did, and now we can go straight to the model. Okay, so we will start over and I'll explain to you what we're seeing here, because it takes a little bit of explanation. It's not immediately obvious. Okay, let's say stop. So the horizontal axis is months. Okay, it's over a 1-year period. There's two scales. There's a scale for active clients. That's the green line. Okay, this green line is on the scale from 0 to 20. So you can see that we're starting around 2 or 3 active clients, and we're slowly building up there. The other 3 lines are all the social networks, and they're on the other scale, 500 to 6,500. Okay, so that's where you can start to ask yourself, is this realistic, these growth rates? And personally, I think most of them are okay, but this Twitter is probably way too optimistic. So we'll change the assumptions there. I'll explain the inputs here. These are dials I can adjust. New posts per month. Okay, I've put a range from 3 to 8. It's probably more realistic to there's a cap. You're not going to get actually more traffic if you post 20 times per month. So there's some range there. Once per week is kind of the industry norm, but you could probably boost it up to 6 times a month and actually see a benefit. And then face-to-face networking per month. I'm assuming here that we're going to be meeting 10 new people per month that are getting into our network. Again, you can test the sensitivity. I want to go ahead and jump over to some of these assumptions and change that Twitter shape. So I'm going to jump back to the home page, jump to the view change assumptions. Okay, so all the assumptions that are built into this model, or not all, but all the main ones are right here. There's graphical functions for basically these are conversion rates. Okay, this is basically, well, for how many posts, how many new followers do you get? For how many new followers, how many new fans do you get? And so on. For how many website hits, how many new fans do you get on Facebook? Okay, so that's kind of what these graphs are. But the cool thing with the software is you can actually just change the shape of it. So I think that my Twitter shape is too aggressive. Okay, it's going up way too fast in the early days. So I need to flatten that out. I think there is probably an exponential boost, but it's going to take 6 months to get to 500. It's not going to happen to 500 in 2 months. Okay, in my opinion. So the other one is here on the left side is actually your starting point. Okay, where are you starting from? In 1 month when we come back and do this again, obviously these buckets will all change, and they're very, very easy to change here. Okay, with these dials. But the point is that you have the ability now to have these assumptions, work with your team, put them on the table, graph them, change them, check the sensitivity. As your progress is improving, watch and see what the dynamics are. Maybe you have to go right back to the model to be able to make some changes here. Some dynamics that you haven't seen that are showing themselves up in the statistics. But the main point is that you're not just flying blind anymore. You actually are starting to think about how these interact and what the payback is and where you should be spending your time and resources. So very, very powerful application of System Dynamics. I hope you agree. So I hope you got some insights out of this. I hope it's got you thinking. We use Systems Dynamics to model, like I said, entire business strategies. This is just a one sub module, but a very interesting feed into the business and networking for your business. I'm Neil McDougall. That was Systems Dynamics of Social Networks. Thanks.